tapestry of who I am, based on the editorial that I wrote last time, which is double plus cool. And I still love that poet hat, but you can't find it online to buy it, even though IPF said they sell it. You can't find it anywhere on their site, so I can't find it together. I've searched. All right, I guess they don't want to sell it.
Can you speak a little
I'll
louder?
get you.
I'm just talking to her.
I can get you one.
I like her hat. That's what I was saying. I like
Oh,
her hat.
okay.
I can get you one. If I can get a hold of the guy, I can get you one.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
You
I'll
know
do
how
that.
much. That's double plus cool.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is. I have to do the same.
I'm trying to keep these all 1 page long. This is a poem, a tapestry of who I am. I tried to think of that when I chose these from the third book in the Pharaoh Memes series of poems of mine, because it's fun to make up words for titles of a book, I guess. This poem is called Such a Surreal Ephemeral Feel. I know that when I first saw my one true love across a crowded room, the other 200 people melted away, and all I could see was him. And we stumbled and fumbled when we first spoke to each other, but it didn't take long for him to send signals to clear everyone away so that it was all only about him with me. We would make special all of our days together. We would find hideouts at night, from the tops of buildings to the sewers, places I would never go unless it was with him. And I would have gone to the bottom of the earth and back if it meant that we could have stayed together. But before I knew it, he was suddenly gone. And for all of these decades since he left my world, I have only been able to live in the shadow of what we had together. Yes, I may wallow, but I hypnotize people still with the songs I sung for him. I sing with the heart of one who felt such love, it so overflowed. It was such an unbounded love that just hearing these songs again made women cry. There was such a surreal, such an ephemeral feel to us that I have no choice but to live in these moments we shared together. For although our time was brief, it was the only time I would ever want, and I will cherish it always. Because I have to share with you poems from the effort to write Twitter-length poems for every element in the periodic table. I'm going to share one of them with you today. It says Twitter-length, everything this poem relates to rhodium, number 45, RH, in the periodic table. This is called Rhodium's Flavor Flav. Back in the day, menthol for smokes maxed out supplies. Rhodium came along for that oh-so-precious mint flavor flav. If you don't smoke, chew gum with mint flav instead. Wear pricey jewelry, listen to Paul McCartney tunes, and then realize how priceless and flavorful it really is. Record for like best, most artists with something, and they gave him a rhodium album. But rhodium's so expensive that it's only rhodium plated. Which I think is such a riot, but anyway, that's just all the weird things you find out to write a Twitter-like poem. Right? This is a poem from Every Event of the Year, Volume 1. Yay, somebody's brought into this room. January through June, because when you write a poem for every day of the year, you start looking for holidays as anything you can find. And I found out that Juneteenth was the day that finally was approved in Texas and then basically nationwide, that gave rights to African Americans after slavery. And so I wrote this piece called Feeling of False Ownership. They say that they gave us human rights months ago. Isn't that funny, having to pass laws to give us rights? Don't we have inalienable rights? Where did they go? But still, the farther south you traveled in this country, the harder it was for white men to treat us as humans. In the Midwest, all the way to Chicago, we were equals. But it seems that Texas, in particular, didn't want to shake their feeling of false ownership, and we had to pay for it. Maybe it took too long for Lincoln's proclamation to reach Texas, but it wasn't until June 19th when Union General Gordon Granger read, General Order Number 3 in Galveston that said that we were free. General Order Number 3. Those 4 words are music to my ears. Though I'm still blown away that a war had to be fought. Proclamations had to be made across all of these states to proclaim something we've known in our hearts, our souls, forever. When this day finally came, call it on Juneteenth, it really did lift each and every voice up to sing hallelujah. Tapestry of who I am. Except for to be like, well, this is from this book and this is from this book, but this will, I guess, tell you something about my past. This poem is called Just the Right Words, and it is from my third and Pheromone series of poetry books of Instagram and Twitter, because a lot of the things in here also have, I just randomly picked a page and there's an Instagram poem that came up with it. This one does not have an image, sorry, but it is called Just the Right Words. You might think that mathematicians and science geeks aren't creative, but those are the guys who thought of all these crazy ideas. I mean, one of those science dorks had to come up with the Big Bang Theory with no evidence to back it up. Right now, they're talking that maybe there are multiple universes that can occasionally bounce into each other and cause things like the Big Bang. That's the kind of stuff that's out there now, straight from the minds of some of those mathematicians and science types. So I made a point to read the paper today, and there was an article that in lieu of one-sentence summaries for research proposals, some scientists are submitting a haiku. They call it a psychu. Now, I hear that since I've written a poem for every element in the periodic table, that the journal Science recently published a collection of haiku about the periodic table. I thought I was the only computer science engineer who decided to go the way of the poet. But at least some of these scientists have caught on to what I knew all along, that sometimes a little creativity and just the right words can make science beautiful to everyone. Because I have to share is because it's not a haiku, but it's a Twitter-length thing for the periodic table of poetry. I'm growing you another one. I'm forcing more periodic table stuff. This was for number 44 in the periodic table for ruthenium on you. This is ruthenium for free. A metals company once even offered 100 grams of this, absolutely free, to aspiring researchers, hoping someone someday may find a use for it. That's us, trying to see what uses everything has for us feeble human beings. But that's what humanity is all about. More mass exploitation. I'd like to share the last poem in this book for you. I've never read this to anyone. This is June 28th, which I believe was National Insurance Awareness Day. And you're like, what? So this, I guess, will tell you something about the tapestry of my life. This one is called Know When to Play It Safe. After working in corporate America for years, I decided, what the hey, I've saved a lot of dough after living in a big city. I can act like one of those trust fund brats and quit my job and take a year off to travel. And after I got my travel plans in order and I quit my job, I then thought, wait a minute, I never used my health insurance. I mean, sure, by law, I have to get car insurance, but why am I paying for health insurance if I never use it? And that is when my travel friend said to me, no, you better get it. You have no idea what will happen, so just get it. And all of this was actually coming from somebody who, as a rule, got into a car accident every month. But that was not me. I was Miss Sane, Miss Responsible. Nothing happens to me. But after I grumbled a little, I took their advice and I paid for health insurance that I would never use while driving around the country by car. And it was after I got back into town, driving to my parents' house, stopped in an intersection, that a car, speeding and texting on a 55-mile-per-hour road, slammed into my stopped car and stopped and shoved me into oncoming traffic, where another car hit me. There were skid marks from my tires for 108 feet.
Oh.
And I'm sorry, but all the details from that day are all eyewitness accounts from others there, because I remember nothing from that day. I wasn't breathing. My skull was fractured in 3 places. I was almost dead. Good thing the hospital I was born in was only 2 miles away and on the same road, so they didn't wait 20 minutes for the helicopter to come to expedite my emergency room arrival. They were busy trying to save me, so they didn't know that my purse fell under the car seat, and they had no idea who I was. Searching with my car a VIN number, they called my mother, asked if she knew someone matching my description, and asked her if she could come to the hospital to identify a body. Yes, those were the exact words that they used. And after my mother and father were there, the hospital then asked if they knew if I had any health insurance, because after seeing the dire straits I was in, they didn't know if I should remain there or be shipped off to Cook County for care. My parents had no idea, so in a panic, my father wrote out a huge check. He'd worry about how to pay for it later to make sure that I got the best health care I could at that very moment. Well, they eventually found my purse, though the people at the hospital didn't return my bra with the rest of my clothing. It's good to know that objectification even applies to the comatose, how comforting sexism even exists when you're almost dead. And while I was recovering, they also discovered my health insurance. And the same stuff that I was seriously sure that I didn't even need. The stuff that now would cover not only my dad's fevered check to save me, but also all the physical pain to save me too. Sure, we could all go and be sounding so trite about how it's wasteful to pay for something if we think we're never going to use it. But all I can say is, oh, thank heaven, I had it on that one fateful day. Of all the days in the world, you think it will never happen, even when you're the sane one, the responsible one, you'll never know. Your only fault may be that you cannot speak for the rest of the world. So right now, take a deep breath and feel comfortable that right now you're playing it safe.